The Smart Home Hub 3000 had been acting possessed for 3 days straight, lights flickering at 3 a.m., temperature swinging between Arctic and tropical, and this morning it had started playing 1980s power ballads on loop. I'd finally had enough. "All right, you technological demon," I muttered, kneeling in front of the sleek silver device in our living room. "Let's see what's going on in that circuit-addled brain of yours." I should mention, my name is Jake, and my life got infinitely more complicated 6 months ago when my wife Emma brought home Kess. Yes, Kess, our maid, except she's not exactly from around here. More specifically, she's from a planet I can't pronounce that's roughly 4 light years away. Emma works for some classified government program. She can't tell me much, but apparently Earth has been quietly hosting exchange workers from a friendly alien civilization. These beings integrate into households to learn about human culture while helping with domestic tasks. It sounds insane because it is insane, but here we are. Kess looks almost human at first glance. Petite frame, porcelain skin, dark hair that seems to shimmer with hidden colors depending on the light. But then you notice the subtle differences. Eyes a bit too large and luminous, fingers just slightly too long and graceful, and when she's relaxed, a thin, elegant tail that she usually keeps hidden under her uniform. She's been wonderful, honestly. Perfect at cooking, cleaning, and understanding exactly what we need before we ask. But she has this habit of appearing at the most inconvenient moments. Like now. I'd removed the back panel of the hub, and immediately a nest of wires had sprung out like angry snakes. "What the—" A spark flew, making me jerk backward. The main power coupling had somehow fused with the neural network adapter. That shouldn't even be physically possible. I grabbed my multimeter, trying to trace the short circuit. Another spark, a wisp of smoke. The device began emitting a high-pitched whine that made my teeth ache. "Just cooperate, damn it!" I growled, reaching deeper into the tangle of components. My fingers brushed against something hot, and I yanked my hand back. A cascade of sparks erupted, and suddenly 3 wires had somehow wrapped around my wrist like electric vipers. Shit! 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 I tried to pull free, but the wires only tightened. The hub started spinning. Actually spinning. On its base. Lights strobing. That whine escalating into a full scream. That's when I heard the door's pneumatic hiss. I turned my head, still trapped in this technological nightmare, to see Kess standing in the doorway. She was wearing her usual uniform, a fitted gray dress that Emma had bought her, practical yet somehow elegant on her alien frame. Her large, luminous eyes widened as she took in the scene. Me, on my knees, wrist trapped in a spinning, sparking device that looked ready to either explode or achieve sentience. For a heartbeat, we just stared at each other. Then Kess's expression shifted from surprise to determination, and she rushed forward. "Jake, don't move!" "Wasn't planning on it," I shouted over the mechanical screaming. Kess moved with that unsettling grace her species possessed. Fluid, precise, almost like watching water flow upward. But there was panic in her movements, too, a very human quality she'd picked up during her time with us. "I help, I fix," she said, her English still charmingly imperfect when she was stressed. Under pressure, the subtle alien accent became more pronounced, her words taking on a melodic quality that would have been beautiful if I wasn't currently being electrocuted. "Yes, wait, maybe we should just unplug." Too late. She raised her hands, and that's when things got truly weird. A soft golden glow emanated from her palms, something I'd only seen once before when she accidentally revealed her true nature by healing a nasty cut on Emma's hand in seconds. The glow intensified, and suddenly Kess was floating, actually floating, her feet lifting off the ground as if gravity had simply decided to take a coffee break. "Kess, what are you?" She thrust her glowing hands toward the hub, and a beam of that golden energy shot out, enveloping the device. Immediately, the hub began to levitate too, spinning faster now, pulling my trapped wrist upward. I was stretched out like some kind of technological sacrifice, one arm extended toward the ceiling as the hub dragged me up. "Kess." Is okay. She didn't sound okay. She sounded like someone trying to convince themselves that the house wasn't actually on fire. "I just realigned the quantum harmonics." "The what?" The golden energy intensified, and the hub began to spin on multiple axes simultaneously, defying every law of physics I understood. The wires around my wrist tightened and then, impossibly, began to glow with the same golden light. The sensation was indescribable, hot but not burning, electric but not painful, like every nerve in my arm was singing in a language I didn't speak. Kes floated higher, her tail now visible and lashing behind her in agitation, her hair starting to rise as if charged with static. Her eyes had shifted to a pure luminous gold, and she was making these clicking sounds deep in her throat. Her native language, I realized, though I'd never heard it before. The entire room began to hum, a deep subsonic vibration that made my bones ache. Picture frames rattled on the walls. The couch started sliding across the floor. A lamp toppled over, its bulb exploding in a shower of glass and light. Kes, maybe we should... A burst of energy exploded from the hub, and suddenly I was flying backward, the wires releasing me as I tumbled across the carpet. I landed hard on my back, breathless, staring up at a scene that looked like something from a science fiction fever dream. Kes hovered near the ceiling, surrounded by a nimbus of golden light, her hands extended toward the hub. The device spun in the air between us, completely encased in that alien energy, sparks and light and strange symbols that seemed to be written in mathematics itself cascading around it. And then she screamed, not in pain but in effort. The sound was beautiful and terrifying, hitting notes that human vocal cords couldn't reach. The golden light exploded outward, blinding, and I threw my arm over my eyes. When I looked again, everything had stopped. Kes was standing on the floor, swaying slightly, her hair disheveled, her uniform singed at the edges. The hub sat on the ground exactly where it had been originally, looking completely pristine. No sparks, no smoke, no demonic screeching. Just silence. We stared at each other, both breathing hard. Her eyes had returned to their normal luminous gray, but there was something wild in them still, something ancient and powerful that reminded me she was very much not human. Did you just... I started, not sure how to finish that sentence. I helped, she said softly, her tail curling anxiously behind her. She continued holding my hand, her thumb absently tracing those glowing lines, and I became acutely aware of several things at once. The warmth radiating from her despite her naturally cool skin, the way her hair fell across her face, the subtle scent she carried, something like ozone and vanilla and starlight, if starlight had a smell. Jake? Her voice was soft, uncertain. You are really not angry? No, I said, and realized it was true. You were trying to help. You just helped in a very dramatic way. She laughed thin, a sound like wind chimes, and the tension broke. Emma says I am extra. I look up this word. I think maybe she is correct. Maybe a little, I agreed, grinning. Speaking of Emma, she's going to be home in a few hours. We should probably clean up before... I will fix! Kes released my hand and spun toward the destruction, her tail flicking with renewed energy. Is my mess. I make right. I watched as she set to work, moving with that alien efficiency that still amazed me. She picked up the larger pieces of glass, then closed her eyes and hummed, a low melodic sound that made the remaining fragments vibrate and slide across the floor toward her, collecting in a neat pile. Show off. You know, I said, helping her push the couch back into place. I've been meaning to ask, on your planet, do you have technology like our hub, or is everything just quantum manipulation? Kes paused, considering. We have both, but our technology works with natural forces, not against them. Your devices. She gestured at the hub. They fight themselves. Try to do too much, understand too little, is why they break. So our tech is basically having an existential crisis? Yes, she brightened at my understanding. Exactly this. Your hub was confused, trying to be smart, but not understanding what smart means. Made it, she searched for the word. Neurotic? I laughed. You just diagnosed my smart home device with anxiety. That's a new one. Is accurate diagnosis, she said primly. But her eyes were dancing with amusement as we worked together to restore order. I found myself stealing glances at her. Kes had been living with us for 6 months, and I'd grown comfortable with her presence. Maybe too comfortable. I'd stopped seeing her as alien and started seeing her as just Kes, our helpful, slightly quirky housemate who happened to be from another planet. But today, watching her float and glow and manipulate reality itself, I'd been reminded of what she truly was, and strangely, that didn't make me uncomfortable. It made me curious. Can I ask you something personal? I said as we finished sweeping up the last of the glass. She tilted her head, her tail curling in that way that meant she was intrigued. Yes, of course. Do you miss it? Your home planet? Your people? Her expression shifted, became distant. She moved to the window, looking out at the afternoon sky. Yes and no. I miss my birth family, my nest siblings. But here, she turned back to me, and there was something raw in her eyes. Here I am learning what it means to be person, not just function. On my world, we have roles, purpose. Here, I can be more. More, I repeated softly. Emma teaches me this. She says I can choose what Kess means, not what others say Kess should be. She wrapped her arms around herself, a gesture of vulnerability. It's frightening, but also wonderful. I understood then, in a way I hadn't before. Kess wasn't just here on some cultural exchange program. She was discovering herself, finding identity in a place where she wasn't defined by expectations or biology or ancient traditions. For what it's worth, I said, I think you're doing a pretty good job of being Kess. Her smile was radiant. Even when I destroy living room?
Especially then.
She laughed, and the sound filled the space between us with something warm and alive. Then her expression turned serious. Jake, I must tell you something. The quantum entanglement on your wrist is not just residue.
What do you mean?
She approached me slowly, taking my hand again. When I used my energy to free you, I created connection. Temporary, but real. For next few hours, you might feel things. From me. My heart skipped. What kind of things? Emotions. Thoughts, maybe, if you concentrate. A side effect of quantum healing cannot be helped. She looked worried. Is this okay? I should have been alarmed. This was a level of intimacy I hadn't consented to. A violation of privacy on a fundamental level. But looking at Kess, seeing the genuine concern in her eyes, I found I wasn't afraid. It's okay, I said. Just warn me if I'm about to feel something intense. Relief flooded her features, and I felt it. Actually felt it, like a warm wave washing through my chest. The connection. It was real. Oh, I breathed. That's really weird. Yes, she agreed, and I felt her amusement mixed with embarrassment. It's very weird, but we'll fade, I promise. We stood there in the cleaned living room, connected in a way that transcended words, and I wondered what Emma would say when she got home. Knowing my wife, she'd probably just laugh and tell us to be more careful next time. The hub beeped softly, and we both turned to look at it. The display showed a message in crisp, clear text. System optimization complete. All functions operating at 247% efficiency. Thank you for your patience. Kess and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. Emma came home 2 hours later to find Kess and me sitting on the couch, her explaining the principles of quantum mechanics through interpretive hand gestures, while I tried desperately to follow along. The golden marks on my wrist had faded to a barely visible shimmer. Should I be worried? Emma asked from the doorway, her briefcase in one hand, amusement clear in her voice. Your husband tried to fix Hub, Kess said brightly. I helped. It was very exciting. Emma's eyes swept the room, noting the scorch marks on the ceiling, the slightly scorched outlet, and the way the hub now sat perfectly centered with an almost smug quality to its blinking lights. Her gaze landed on my wrist, and her eyebrows rose. Quantum entanglement markers. Really, Kess? Was accident, Kess protested, her tail flicking anxiously. I'm fine, I assured Emma quickly. She saved me from being strangled by my own smart home device. It was very heroic, also very destructive, but mostly heroic. Emma set down her briefcase and crossed to us, sitting on my other side. She took my hand, examining the fading marks with professional interest. How long did she say the connection will last? Few more hours, Kess said quietly. I am sorry, Emma. I know it's against protocols. Oh, I'm not mad, Emma said, surprising us both. Actually, this is kind of fascinating. Jake, what are you feeling right now? I concentrated, focusing on that strange new sense that had opened up. Anxiety. Kess is worried you're upset with her. And there's something else. Curiosity? She's interested in how I'm processing this. Kess's eyes widened. Yes, exactly. It's strange to be known this way. Emma smiled, that warm, understanding smile that had made me fall in love with her 7 years ago. Well, since we're all connected here, metaphorically and temporarily literally, maybe we should have an honest conversation. About what? I asked, though I had a feeling I knew. About how we're all adjusting to this situation, Emma said. She looked at Kess with genuine affection. You've been with us 6 months now. You're not just our maid or our alien cultural exchange worker anymore. You're our friend. Maybe more than a friend. Family. I felt Kess's emotion through our connection, a surge of warmth and belonging so intense it made my eyes sting. You really think this? She whispered. Of course, Emma said firmly. She glanced at me. We both do, right, Jake? Yeah, I said, meaning it. You're part of our weird little household, Kess. We care about you. Kess made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob, and suddenly she was hugging us both, her arms surprisingly strong, her tail wrapping around us, and what I'd learned was a gesture of deep affection among her people. Through our temporary connection, I felt everything she couldn't put into words. The loneliness she'd carried, the fear that she didn't belong, and now this overwhelming relief and joy at being accepted. When she pulled back, her eyes were luminous with unshed tears, another human trait she'd adopted. On my world, we have concept, nest bond. It means family you choose, not born to, but choose, is sacred thing. Like that, Emma said softly. That's what this is. We sat together in comfortable silence for a while, the late afternoon sun streaming through the windows, the hub humming contentedly in the background at its new, impossible efficiency level. So, Emma finally said, her tone lighter, anyone want to tell me the full story of what happened? Because I'm seeing scorch marks and a very smug-looking piece of technology. Kess and I exchanged glances, and we both started talking at once, our words tumbling over each other. Through the quantum connection, I could feel her amusement and excitement as we recounted the chaos, each of us adding details the other forgot, laughing at the absurdity of it all. Emma listened with growing amusement, occasionally asking questions, until we got to the part where Kess had floated near the ceiling, glowing like a celestial being. I wish I'd been here to see that, Emma said. Sounds beautiful, actually. Was terrifying, I corrected. Was both, Kess agreed. I was terrified, too. I thought I might hurt Jake, might destroy everything. But also, she paused, searching for words. Also felt right. Using my gifts to help, being fully myself. Emma reached over and took Kess's hand. You know what the hardest part of your program is? The part that makes most exchange workers quit? Kess shook her head. It's learning to stop hiding. To be yourself in a world where you're different. Emma squeezed her hand. But you've never really hidden, have you? You've just been waiting for permission to be fully seen. The emotion through our connection was so intense I had to look away, blinking hard. Kess was right. Being known this way was strange, intimate, almost overwhelming. Thank you, Kess whispered, both of you, for seeing me. As the sun began to set, painting the room in shades of gold and amber, I became aware of how natural this felt. The three of us together, connected not just by circumstance, but by genuine care. Emma leaned against my shoulder, while Kess curled up on my other side, her tail draped across the back of the couch, and I felt something shift in the fabric of our relationship. We weren't just housemates anymore. We were something new, something undefined by normal social categories. And somehow, that felt exactly right. The quantum marks on my wrist pulsed gently, and I knew I'd missed this connection when it faded. Not the specifics. The emotional overflow could be exhausting, but this feeling of being truly known, of understanding someone beyond words. Kess, I said quietly, on your world, can this connection be made permanent? She stiffened slightly. Yes, but a serious thing, sacred, only done between nest bonds, between those who choose to be family forever. Emma lifted her head from my shoulder, looking at me with those sharp, intelligent eyes. Are you asking what I think you're asking? Maybe, I admitted. Today felt important, like something changed. Something did change, Emma agreed. She looked at Kess. The question is, what do we want to do about it? Kess's tail had gone very still, and through our connection, I felt her holding her breath, afraid to hope.
You would want this? True nest bond? With me? Let's not rush anything,
Emma said practically, but her voice was warm. But maybe we should explore what that could mean, for all of us. The hub chose that moment to beep, its display showing a new message. Emotional resonance detected, optimizing ambient environment for meaningful conversation. The lights dimmed slightly, becoming warmer. Soft music began playing, something instrumental and soothing. The temperature adjusted to perfect comfort. We all stared at the device, then at each other, and burst out laughing. Your quantum harmonics made it sentient, I accused Kess. Made it better, she corrected, grinning. Made it understand what home means. And looking around at our little family, unconventional, strange, and absolutely perfect, I had to agree. Over the next few hours, as the quantum connection slowly faded, we talked. Really talked. In a way we maybe hadn't before. Emma explained more about the exchange program, about how Kess's species had been visiting Earth for decades, slowly integrating, preparing both worlds for eventual open contact. Most people aren't ready to know, Emma said. Not yet. But in households like ours, we're building bridges, proving that different species can not just coexist, but genuinely care for each other. Is experiment, Kess added softly. We are a test case, to see if we can be more than separate. How many other households are there? I asked. In the program? About 200 worldwide, Emma said. Most are going well, some better than others, but ours, she smiled at Kess. Our supervisor says ours is exceptional, that the bond we've formed is rare. I felt the last vestiges of the quantum connection, and through it, Kess's fierce pride and affection for both of us. It made my chest tight. What happens when the program ends? I asked. When your time here's done. Kess looked down at her hands, her tail curling around her leg. I have choice. Can return to homeworld, or... She paused, vulnerable. Or can apply for permanent residency, if host family agrees. If I have reason to stay. The unspoken question hung in the air between us. Emma stood up, pacing to the window. When she spoke, her voice was thoughtful. I need to be honest with both of you. When I first brought Kess home, I thought of it as a job, a chance to help with this important diplomatic program, but somewhere along the way, it became something else. She turned back to face us, her expression open and a little scared. I care about you, Kess, more than a supervisor should, probably. More than just friendship. And watching you two together today, the way Jake talks about you, how protective he got when he thought you might be in trouble. She took a breath. I think we're all feeling something we haven't named yet. My heart was pounding. Emma, are you saying... I'm saying I want to explore this, whatever this is. She came back to the couch, sitting between us, taking one of each of our hands. In my culture, this is complicated, probably problematic. But Kess, in your culture, is this possible? A nest bond between three? Kess's eyes were wide, shimmering. Yes, is not common, but is honored. In my language, we call it triad nest, three who choose each other, who balance each other. She looked between us, hope and fear warring in her expression. But you must understand, nest bond is not like your marriage, is deeper, is sharing of essence, of energy, of life itself. The quantum connection, I realized, but permanent. Yes, Kess squeezed our hands, would mean being able to feel each other always. Not overwhelming, but present. Like knowing sun is shining even when you're indoors. Is comfort, is home. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want you to know I didn't plan this. I've been happily married to Jake for 7 years. I love him completely. But I also... She looked at Kess with such tenderness, it made my breath catch. I love you too. And I think that's okay. I think maybe that's the whole point of this program. Learning that love doesn't have to be limited. Jake? Kess's voice was small. You have been quiet. I realized I had been processing everything. The truth was, I'd been feeling this shift for weeks, maybe months. The way my heart lifted when Kess laughed. The way I looked forward to coming home to both of them. The way it felt right when the three of us were together. I love Emma, I said slowly. That's never going to change. But I met Kess's luminous eyes. I care about you, Kess. Deeply. I want you to stay. I want to see where this goes. The quantum marks on my wrist flared bright gold, responding to the intensity of the moment, and suddenly I felt it again, that connection. But this time, it wasn't just Kess. It was Emma too, somehow, pulled into the resonance. For a brief, shining moment, we were all connected, all feeling each other's hope and fear and love and possibility. Kess gasped. The quantum field, it recognizes potential bond, is rare, means we are compatible on fundamental level. Is that your way of saying we're meant to be? Emma asked, laughing a little through what might have been tears. Is my way of saying universe thinks we fit, Kess said. She stood up suddenly, her tail lashing with nervous energy. But you must understand what you are choosing. Nest bond is forever, is not like your divorce. Once made, cannot be unmade, and I am not human. I will live 3 times longer than you. We'll have to watch you age. Watch you. Her voice broke. Die, Emma finished gently. You'll have to watch us die. Yes. Kess's voice was barely a whisper. This is why most of my people don't bond with humans. It's too painful, but She looked at us with such raw emotion that my chest ached. I would rather have 50 years with you than 300 years alone. I stood up, going to her, pulling her into my arms. She was trembling, and I realized how much courage this admission had taken. We don't have to decide everything tonight, I said softly, but I think we all know what we want. Emma joined us, wrapping her arms around both of us, and we stood there in our living room as the last light faded from the sky. The hub, in its newfound sentient wisdom, kept the lights low and played something that sounded almost like a lullaby. So what do we do now? Emma asked. Now, Kess said, pulling back to look at both of us. We take time. We learn. We explore what this means. In my culture, potential triad nests spend time in ritual closeness, learning each other's rhythms, boundaries, desires, building foundation for bond. Ritual closeness, I repeated. What does that involve? A small, mischievous smile played at Kess's lips, a very human expression she'd perfected. It's different for each triad, but usually intimacy. Physical, emotional, spiritual. Learning to exist as three who are one. Emma's eyebrows rose. Are we talking about what I think we're talking about? If you think we're talking about sex, then yes, Kess said bluntly, making Emma laugh. But it's not just physical. It's about vulnerability, trust, showing all parts of yourself. Well, Emma said, a slight flush on her cheeks, I suppose we should start somewhere. I felt my own face heating. Are we really doing this? Unless you want to wait, Emma said, but there was challenge in her eyes. Though I have to say, after watching you two connect today, I'm feeling a little left out. Kess's tail began to sway, a sign of anticipation I'd learned to recognize. You are certain? Both of you? This is what you want? Yes, Emma and I said together, and felt right. That synchronicity, that sense of being on the same page. Kess's smile was radiant. Then I will show you what it means to be nest-bonded, to be truly known, to be... She paused, searching for the word. Cherished, in all ways. She took both our hands and led us toward the bedroom, her tail swaying with graceful purpose. At the doorway, she paused, looking back at us with those luminous eyes. Last chance to change minds, she said softly. Once we begin, everything will be different. Emma squeezed my hand, then Kess's. Different sounds perfect. And as we crossed the threshold together, I felt the quantum marks on my wrist pulse one last time before fading completely. We didn't need that artificial connection anymore. We were building something real, something chosen, something that would bind us together in ways that transcended science or magic or the distance between stars. The hub, in the living room, displayed one final message before powering down for the night. Home status, optimal, all residents, content, probability of successful triad bond formation, 99.7%. Recommendation, proceed with joy. And that's exactly what we did. The end.